So now we're recording. Yep, I got the little blinky.
The
Little red eye
resolution
like
looks so
hell.
much better too.
What's that?
The resolution looks better too, I feel like.
Oh yeah, we
That's
could
what I
barely
felt
read
too.
text.
Yeah, it's just like a smoother image. It's nice.
Nice. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, that's why I wanted to switch to this, because I thought that I noticed that on some of the other meetings I was on, but I couldn't quite remember. So tested it out. I was testing on my phone and tablet earlier today. Not bad.
Totally.
Chat as well, just in case some of you don't have a microphone. Some of you guys need to get a microphone so we can know that you're still alive and didn't get replaced with a robot.
Or a dog. Because, you know,
Hey,
you
Jared,
could be
I
a
see
dog
that-
on the internet.
Mm-hmm. What's up?
I see that last week there was another say hi. Is that how you're marking attendance?
Yeah, sometimes I'll mark attendance that way. So if you were here, just go say hi. It's still open.
Okay, because I just showed up late last week. That was, I just didn't see that we were doing
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah, just check for any discussions, guys. I'm probably going to put one. I'm going to try to put one every week. I forgot one class so far, and I think that's it. But if I don't have like an actual discussion, I'll just put simply say hi, and then I'll just mark that you were here.
Is there a say hi for this week's class? I'm guessing so, right?
There's not. There's a online class thus far is what it's called, but it's a discussion. Yeah, so if you scroll to the bottom of week 12, it says basically, hi everyone. In this discussion, I would like you to let us know how the move to online is working for you. If I could read, that'd be great, right? Answer the following questions and anything else that you could think of to add, basically. So how are online classes going for you? With what some of the professors are doing, what is working? You could put what isn't working if you want, but I mean, I think it's more beneficial to see what is working. So there is that, but if you want to add that with the extra typing, it's going to be up to you. What is your learning style and how do you think that we can help with your way of learning? Okay. What are some of the general ideas of what will help with an online class setup? And this is just for you, because I've taken like online certification classes and I taught online before, and there's a lot of different setups and a lot of different ways colleges run things. But what would that look like to you, like an ideal setup, basically? And then basically anything else that you would like to add would be greatly appreciated. So some things that are being done are on here. You're kind of covering some of that. Some of the ways that you learn, you're covering. If there's anything else that you could think of to add into there, that's what that part is for, so that you can add that part in there and then just kind of help out with building and structuring classes and give me a better idea of some of the things that I could add in here, or, you know, I don't know, just different ways of working. We still have some learning curves here with some of what we're having to do, but for the most part, I think it can be done pretty smoothly. So
Cool.
yeah. As for After Effects, let's get into this. Did I save this thing? Let's see. I don't think I did. All right, let me save this. This is for the other class. Photoshop. Oh, yeah, I did. All right. So let me do a new one real quick. So I'll do File New, Project. I'm just going to bring something in here. So it isn't any of these at all. So I'll just go to Spring 2020, 165, Week 12 videos. So these are all the videos that I gave you all in the links, okay? We have a couple of them that we were going to look over from before, like this one here. This one is in a previous week, but we didn't quite use it, so I'm just going to import that in here. I know the ratio is like up this way, so you'd be able to add that into, actually you could probably add one of those into the phone, you know, or you could add one of your animations into the phone, and that's a good way of working. The phone is also good for faking things. So you're going to see on the phone one, there is tracking markers, but that is one way of working, okay? And I'll show you that towards the end. So I'm just going to take this MP4 and I'm going to drag it down to my timeline. Anytime that you do that, what happens is that your composition becomes the size of this. In this case, it's a video, but it could be an image, and it would take the size of that image, or a composition from After Effects or something, okay? You'll notice that I didn't make a composition. I just drug this down here. So what it did is it made it the size of it, just like I just said, but it also called it the same thing that this video was labeled, okay? It also gave it the same duration as this video, which is about, let's see here, 10 seconds, 35 frames. Where do they shoot this at? 60 frames? We got 35 frames. Let's see. I'm just going to drag this way. Crazy. This is a really odd format. See? Goes to 49. Then boom, 50 is 1
Whoa.
second. This is not
What's going on
normal.
there?
Right? Yeah, so. Okay, so cool. Let's see here. I will just kind of take this back a little. All right. So one of the first things you can do is, I mean, you could rename any of the stuff inside of here. Don't forget, you can just hit enter to do so. And I don't know what to call this. I don't know if we should just call this like phone footage, or in this case, we can just call it main comp in case we do anything else. But the final composition, I mean, it looks like it would be phone footage, right? It looks like it's shot like that in that aspect ratio, which is not normal for us. So we'd probably have to incorporate it into a film that is, you know, going to be widescreen, which is okay. And in this case, it could actually be implemented onto, or sorry, superimposed onto a phone or a tablet or something that is shaped that shape. First thing to do is I'll hit spacebar, and you just analyze the footage. Okay. A lot of times we'll let it play through from front to back if we have enough memory inside of here. And then what we end up doing is kind of scrubbing through it, playing it forward, letting it go in reverse. And we're looking for things that we can use to do whatever purpose we need to do, okay? In this case, we would be using this to track the motion of something. Not necessarily the girls, but maybe the room, all right? So the room is moving. We could do something that's going to make it less of a shaky movie camera, or we can actually get it to stay still altogether, which in this case, I'm not going to shoot for that. We could see what happens, but we're kind of just testing the footage, okay? So what I'm looking for is I'm going to see what's going to be occluded inside of here, which it looks like their hands are all over the place because I was hoping to track something right here, but I don't know that we're going to be able to do that. So what we could look for is when you look forward and backwards, and I can stop the playback and go up here to my preview. And for my preview options, I do have this section right here, and it's looping forward. I can click on it. It's going to play forward once and then stop. And there used to be a bounce back, I thought, inside of here. But I could be thinking of another program now. Let me see here. Reset the options. Spacebar is my hotkey. But in some programs, what it'll do is it'll loop forward and backwards. When we're tracking, we can tell After Effects to do that. And the reason that it does that is that there's interpolation between one frame and the next frame moving forward. There's the reverse interpolation moving backwards. So what this thing is doing is it's looking at icons in a sense. So if we have something that is the corner of those windows, they are creating a shape, and they are having these pixel colors, whether it be light and dark or whatever, that are allowing for us to track it. And the thing about that is After Effects is going to look for those, but it's not super intuitive when it comes to it. It's gotten better. But what it does is it tries to look for a recognizable shape or color or both, and it tries to follow it. So we kind of look at it, and we can move the tracking points, and we can get them to work for us by realigning them and then, you know, adjusting them forward and backwards or jumping from one point to another. And those are ways that we can try to get the motion of this thing to move, or the tracking of this thing to follow something. Okay. The other part is that the light could change. So if we're looking at some of these, we have a couple of things we have to watch out for. Occlusions. So if their hands move in front of something, let's say that I had a dot right here, and then their hands move in front of it like this, that's an occlusion. And the occlusion, we will not allow After Effects to see the pixels that we were trying to track, like the corner of one of the windows right there that we're trying to track. So moving forward, we'll analyze the pixels going forward and the transition between frame and frame, and going backwards, we'll do the reverse of that to try to get a better track, okay? It compares the forward track to the backwards track and tries to get the best track. The other part is looking for things to track, okay? So myself, I see that their hands are getting in the way, so that might be a problem in this scene. Also, I'm trying to say, okay, well, maybe we can track the top corner of this thing, because I'm looking for iconic things to track, okay? And I'll move it. And the corners look like they dip out. You see that? The camera goes down too far and cuts off those corners. So that might not work for me either. I was looking at the light on the wall, but this chick on the left covers it at some point, or at least most of it.
This video seems like a mess.
I know, right? And it's funny because sometimes you will end up with that. On the big productions, they actually plan for this type of stuff. They say, hey, we're going to motion track this. If we don't have something that looks like it's going to work, then they put tracking markers on there. And tracking markers are pretty awesome. They look like this. And you could print them out of your printer. You can use tape to do them, like put them up. You can put like little crosses, little squares. You'll see like these ones have become very popular. And these ones were even used on the Ninja Turtles movie and such. Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers and the pretty much every movie now. I think Planet of the Apes, they used some of these mixed with the motion capture markers. Motion capture markers. So these are a lot of the icons. You can make your own too. You can go to Illustrator, make some clean vector art, and then it's going to be for the purpose of tracking. And you can make different types to track different things. So you can actually plan out your scenes. And once you start doing motion tracking more, you're going to be like, okay, this is going to work. That's not going to work. I need this shot, but I have nothing to track. So I got to implement these things in order to kind of cheat, if you will, and be able to track the area that you need to track. You just kind of get used to working that way and then coming up with ideas to do so. And then when you do that, you know that you're going to superimpose things back in. So let's say that you guys did this at home. You would probably take a picture or record a small section of what you're going to be recording, or take a picture of the surrounding area from where you are so that you're kind of going to engulf all the parts that the camera is going to engulf. And then what happens is that you have what we call kind of a clean plate in a sense, because there's another way of making clean plates. And you have everything as it is. And then you put tracking markers over certain spots of it. It allows you to find where the tracking marker is and then find that part from the clean plate that you made earlier and superimpose it over that tracking marker. That way your wall looks like your wall complete. It didn't have that little cross on there, or didn't have this other thing right here, this type of tracking marker on there, or anything like that. Okay. So it would allow for us to track. That's motion capture right there. I could teach you that too if we had motion capture stuff.
That'd be so cool.
I know, right? This is the facial capture stuff like we were talking about. The Apple took one of the software that I was using. Still sore about that. It was affordable and it was easy to work with. But you'll see people do that with a lot of different things. So they'll do it like on a phone. And I have something like that on a phone. So I just got some footage online using that website I gave you all, the PEXELS, pexels.com. We'll also do this. If we don't do this week, we'll do it next week for sure. Or maybe this will be one of the tutorials I make you, and you can get some of the text to move with it. But this one tracks 3D. We're going to be tracking 2D today. Okay. Yeah, so you can make markers. And you should test this out on your house. It's actually really cool. Sometimes you'll put those markers on your body because you'll see them on, let's see, tracking markers for motion tracking. Let's see. Ninja Turtles. Yeah, see. So they did a mixture of it where they had the motion capture suits. They had like these suits that were for motion capture. They did like these different little color coding bands that were a little bit different. Their suits, see how they were pretending they're wearing shells right there? I don't know if I can make it, if they have a bigger picture of it. Let's see. Yeah, see? They'll have some of the dots as well as some of these ones are for illumination right there. Those ones might be transmitting too, because in the sunlight, that'd be very difficult. They're kind of iridescent and it gets captured usually by infrared light, which in the sun or other bright lights, it could really kind of jack up your shot. So those might be some hybrid like they were using on Planet of the Apes. There's the Planet of the Apes shot right there. See that? And that's what it does. It puts a skeletal system in there because it maps everything out, and you place them purposely for that. And then the other markers are to just kind of help out with that. Some more processing, see right here. So they could track those different points. It's pretty awesome. I haven't set up that type of a system, just the markered system. I've used some of the tracking points, but I haven't used, some of the tracking, these type of tracking markers. I've used them separate from the motion tracking system. And you can see the little balls glowing right there. Those are the iridescent ones that reflect the infrared light.
When did they first
movies-
start using this type of motion tracking?
What's that?
It was
Do you
really
know?
popular in the first Lord of the Rings. Is what really blew it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 1999 Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, and they were using it before that as well.
But
We
I feel
actually
like
have-
ILM really started to polish it in '99.
Oh yeah, it's gotten a lot better. That's true, because we have Vicon Blade, and they have a base out here in Denver, which is pretty cool.
Do
Yeah,
you
so this is
remember
pretty good.
seeing anything like this
Pretty
when you were young or when you were getting in the industry that made
Yeah.
you really excited?
Oh yeah, and
You
it
know,
was
off the top of your head?
oh no,
Yeah.
it's like mixed together now at this point.
Totally.
Yeah, but we can actually watch some of these videos. I'll leave this up so they have it for the Avengers, because they got to the point where Robert Downey Jr. wasn't even wearing markers anymore. He basically was just, parts of the suit. He used to wear the suit or parts of the suit, and then they would track parts of him and then superimpose the stuff coming over him and such. But then he just started wearing markers and trackers and stuff like that, and they were able just to match his movement, and then the suit just kind of just goes over him. They still can animate it over him without him having to wear any parts of it.
The first movie, his suit looks the most real, and it's because it's like a lot
That's
of
because
real.
it's the most real, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also the first movie was shot on film, which I think has a little bit to it.
Oh yeah, actually the film part that could add part of it. Because so hard surface stuff like his suits, they got that down. It looks great. It's hard to tell like real from fake then. Sometimes it looks too good. It's like it's too clean, it's too perfect sometimes. And that's what gives it away. You'll see a lot of car commercials, and some of those cars aren't even people driving them. They're just 3D cars. It's crazy. Or it's a mixture of the two. Yeah, and then something like this, they have the markers there. We can just keep scrolling and kind of see what else. There's that type of markers again on top of the suit with the other 9 gazillion markers they have going on there. Yeah, see, the infrared light ones. So these ones must emit light or something. And they probably transmit. They look like little hubs. Sometimes those little hubs, see how it has like a USB thing? It's not just to charge what's going to transmit the light, but some of them have, what do they call those things? Not like oscillators, but like how your phone has the GPS tracking with the tilt and everything like that. It's a mixture of that for each part. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, so those parts are all a part of this. I'll leave it on these so we can maybe take a look at those videos together. Yeah, so you can actually do that inside of here, and it's pretty phenomenal. The other parts that I haven't looked at, because I don't think I have much to track over here, maybe the top of that light.
Could you track the stripes on the bottom of the bed?
Not really. And the problem being that with the stripes is that they're continuous and they're the same color. So our tracking point will say, oh, look, you chose right here, but this looks like that pixel. And over time, it just like migrates and it just slides. So whatever you have following it is going to start sliding back and forth. Although there are those little things on the floor, those little notches on the floor. Let's see if they stay in frame. They do. Well, almost. Does that one go out? Ooh, it gets close. Yeah, so right here and right here. So we might be able to do that. We could try it. I mean, couldn't hurt, right? All right, so for this part, we use the tracker. And over here on the side, we have a lot of our options like effects and such. Right below that, towards the bottom, you're going to see we have tracker, okay? So one thing that I can do is I can scroll down, click on tracker, and then we have the footage right here. We have the footage selected, so that makes a difference sometimes. But it will also look into our layers, and it'll look for footage. So sometimes it'll reload the wrong footage if you don't have it selected. And then you just drop it down and tell it to pick the correct source. So in this case, if I click any of this stuff, it's going to not know what to do until I come down to the motion source and drop this down. There are my videos right there, and I only have the one. So I could actually click on that one, and now you're going to see that it's going to say, okay, well, what do you want to do? First off, what it did is my window looks different because it segregated that video, okay? It's like when you double click on a layer down here in the layers panel, it will bring it up as a sequence. It'll bring it up solo, basically. So here's my main composition here, and here is my tracking. All right, I will hold spacebar to get my little hand, and I'll just click and drag down this way. I'll look at these notches in the floor. Now they're pretty light, so I don't know if it's going to really pick up on it very easily, but there may be some tricks that I can use to do that. So for right now, the current track, there's none. So I could choose what it's going to do, okay? Right up top, I have track the camera. I have warp stabilizer. Nothing's warping right now, so I don't really need to stabilize it that way. I have stabilized motion. In this case, I think that's going to be one of the ones that I'm doing. I could do track camera too, though. So track camera would track the camera movement, but I do have that option. Track motion. Tracking motion can follow something. So if I was walking and I had some of those markers on me, you can track something like maybe on my shoulder or something like that, or on my head, one of the markers, and then you'd be able to put something over me that looked like it was following me. Or if you did a visual effect, the visual effect can be done stationary, and then when you have it tracked to my head, whatever you're doing will look as though it's kind of spawning off of my head. Okay, so if it was like smoke that you had coming this way, and I was walking this way, it's going to follow me, and then it's going to look like it's emitting from me, okay, or staying around me and tracking it that way. It could also be a bubble. So if you were doing something for a commercial and you were tracking me or my hand or something like that, you could put a bubble there that kind of says what I'm thinking or says what I'm texting or something like that, and that would work, okay? So in this case, I can click on maybe stabilize motion, and I get a tracking point, all right? So the way that this works is there's a little section here. If I click and drag this first outer box, and let me get a little bit closer because I don't want to confuse you all. This first outer box is going to analyze pixels coming and going within an area, okay? If you make it small, it has less pixels to track, and your track can go a little bit faster. If you make it larger, it can be possibly more accurate as you're tracking, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be super accurate because these girls are moving, so pixels are moving and different things like that. So a track could, one, take more time because it's analyzing more pixels within it. Two, it could veer off because if some of the stuff is changing inside of the box too much, then you're introducing too many pixels that's confusing the system. So you're going to have to do some trial and error when it comes to some of this stuff and decide, hey, this is moving too much, so I'll hone the box in on one section or something to that effect, okay? So this is the outer part, and it's going to analyze a lot of the movement of the pixels coming and going. This inner box is going to analyze, we want to think of it like icons, okay? So if you look at the corner of the windows, they're pretty L-shaped and they're pretty hard-edged, and they have a point on them where the corner of the window meets. So that is kind of like an icon to the tracking marker. Also, the ones we were just looking at, like the triangle or the cross, right? The cross is going to be like an icon. It's going to be easy for this to read. The triangle would be an icon, right? I'm not doing an Illuminati triangle. It's just a triangle, okay, guys? Or I'd be really rich if I was part of the Illuminati. But those ones with the circles, crosses, whatever you set up, they're going to be like icons, okay? It could be your logo. It truly could if it was just a black and white logo. You can put your logo in there, and that's your tracker, All right, that really could work. But this thing looks for that. It looks for a shape, an object, you know, something iconic that is going to be able to stand out from everything else. This little point here is where it applies the data to. So it's a little crosshair. I don't know if you can see it on your screens, but it's a little crosshair that it'll apply the data to that, okay? You generally want to keep them together, but you can actually move them apart. You can scale these wide, tall, okay? This one can't go inside of the other. The one on the outside, the one on the inside will push the boundaries of the outside one because you're, you know, able to adjust both a little more quickly that way. But you can also offset it. So if I come down here and I click on the point, I can move the point wherever I want. I could put the point on the girl's head over here like that. She's moving, so it wouldn't really help me in that case. But what happens is that whatever I track, when I apply that data onto the tracker or the object that I tracked to, it's going to then place it where that point is right there. Okay, the little point with the crosshairs. So I'm trying to move it, but there we go. It's kind of hard to grab sometimes. If I would like to move these, I will click on the little straight parts of these, so between the points, and I will click and drag it to move it. All right. It's leaving my tracker behind, so I might need to just go inside of the box and click and drag it. Yeah. So I can go inside of the box and click and drag it if I want to move them all together. All right. But if I want to leave the tracker, like I made this tracking marker and I was going to track it and place whatever right here, like a little stuffed animal or something like that, I could then move everything else away from it and track something else that will apply the movement over there. So it's kind of like the vice versa of what I just showed you. Okay. So let me drag that back over here. It's looking pretty all right. Just like that. Okay. And I'll click in the box here to move it. So if I click in the box and move it, it will allow me to pull past the scene to move this. I'm gonna go over here to the floor somewhere. Hold space bar, move this over. Let's see if that's the correct notch. Yeah, this one might work all right. This one, I don't know. That could be better because I have two marks there. See right there and there. That one might go away. Let's see. Let's test this. Let's scrub forward. It looks like it stays, all the points stay in the entire time. It gets really close right there. See that one right there? Really close. But I think they all stay in. So we could try different ones. This one might be distinct, so let's try this. I'm gonna drag this over. I don't really care where this point is. I could show you some workarounds there. So if I were to place it right there, it doesn't really matter. Remember that's just where the data is gonna be, you know, placed on. So I can make the box incorporate what I want to track. So in this case, I can track that one dot, but I might have problems with that. So I can add this dot. And maybe I want to add this dot over here. Just like that. For my search area, I could go just a little beyond that. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference because there's not a whole lot out here that's going to be super distinct from anything else. Maybe the patterns of the wood, but with the motion of the camera, it's so light that I don't think that expanding it too far is going to be super great. Okay. Now let's say that you're working on some of this stuff and you want to move the boxes in a way that aren't going to be confined to like the width and the height of these. What I mean by that is that if I wanted to stretch just this side here, you should be able to use your modifier keys. I think it might be Alt. Nope, it's probably Control then. Let's see. Control. And click on a corner. I can extend the box this way only. I can still go up and down with it, but you're noticing that the other side over there does not extend. Now let me see if it's just Control or if they changed it in 2020. Nope. See, without Control, both of them are extending. So if I am on an edge here, and this is as far as I want for this spatial relationship here to be, but this one could go further, then I can hold down Control, click it that way, and incorporate maybe that little speck down there at the bottom, right there, and say I would like you to pay attention to all of that. Okay? In this scene, I don't think that's going to be necessary. I just want you to know that you can do that. Okay? So I have to hold Control to get that back as well. And there's also in here, there's a way to Oh, I don't have targets yet, so I can't reset it. But I could always, delete this and start over, or just click on stabilize motion again. I think I get a whole new tracking marker. Okay. So these 3 dots are inside of there. And what I can do is I'll just come over to the play options, and these play options are to analyze forward. This one's going to play automatically. It's going to be playing and analyzing forward as it goes, and just keep playing. This is going to analyze backwards. Okay. This one's going to jump 1 frame at a time forward. This one's going to jump 1 frame at a time backwards. So you can do frame by frame, or you can let it just go automatically on its own. Another thing is that you don't have to start right here at the beginning. So a big misconception when it comes to tracking is that you have to start at the beginning every time. I could start at the middle. I could start at a corner point. I could start at 1/8 from the end. I could track forward and then go back to that same frame and track backwards, or vice versa. I could start there and just track backwards and then track forward. Okay. I could start at the end of my scene and track backwards. You'll get different results sometimes, and you have to try different things to see what's going to work for you. I also might have to end up doing what's called a jump track, which inside of here, I don't think they figured it out yet. But in other programs like Nuke, I could say, okay, well, I could track this up to about 3 seconds in, and then it disappears completely. So it's useless to me there. Or the girl covers it with her hair or her hand or something like that. Then I could say, well, I could jump over to the windowsill, because then that goes till about 8 seconds, and then it gets occluded. So then at that point, I could jump to this thing on the wall, and it would continue tracking. So it continues the motion of all of this by being able to jump track. Okay. Again, in here without a plugin, I don't think it's possible just yet, but I haven't tested it in 2020, so I'll try to look into that. I'm going to click this analyze forward, and it's going to process. Okay. So this could take some time. And what it's doing is it's going frame by frame, and it's looking pretty steady. So as it tracks, you can watch it to see what it's doing. Now, one thing I should have probably done is I probably should have connected to the VMware, because my computer's processing this in our meeting, and I still have Photoshop and stuff open, so that wasn't a smart move right there. You want things to be faster, close all the stuff that you need to close, and then it's going to use less resources, or they're going to be taking up less resources on your computer for this to be using more resources and just being faster all in general. Okay. So as you notice, this is going to take a minute. What's that?
Then my After Effects is already bogged out, not responding.
Yours is?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Mine is too. I was able to get into VMware earlier today for one of my other classes.
Nice. Yeah, so try using the VMware, guys. I should have done it as well, because those computers are better than my laptop right now. It's chugging away. It's doing pretty all right, but I think those things would have made quick work of this.
And this is just slowly tracking the entire footage?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you see how my box isn't shifting or anything like that? So far, it's good. So far, so good. My brain was trying to say both those things at the same time. I hate when that happens. So you look at the box, and you can see that the spatial relationship is still good. The box isn't shifting. The marker isn't shifting. So you're getting a good track so far. And this one's only tracking position. If you notice up here, that's the only thing I have selected. But I could do rotation and scale. Now for rotation and scale to work, it's going to give you a minimum of 2 markers. Okay, position is just up, down, left, and right. So in the y-axis and the z-axis. Okay. The rest of it, like rotation and scale, is going to, so rotation is going to be like this. Okay. And they're going to have part of the same spatial relationship. Scale is going to be like this. So if it is coming this way, right? So it's a small point. It looks like this. There's two points. As it gets larger, that means it's going to scale upward. That means something's coming closer to the camera, or vice versa. It'll scale it down as you move away from two points. So this is doing all right. It's taking longer than I thought it was going to take for this footage. But there's a couple of things that are going on here as well. The footage is still, I think, high def footage, even though it's flipped this way. And the Yeah. So that can add to the processing right there. The fact that it's still full, what am I thinking of? Resolution. So the full resolution is still, adding to that. You could go a partial resolution if you know you have a good tracker or a good tracking scene that's nice and clear and the marker's not going to slide or anything like that. Yeah, but this is a really good way of paying attention to this. So I'm kind of watching this. If you guys have to go to the bathroom real quick, you might want to do that. Now's a good time. Because it's not telling me the duration of how long it's taken to track. So I'm not seeing that they've given any updates for that.
So
But it seems kind of like a long time, right?
So with this footage, what is the benefit of tracking again?
So tracking can actually do a few things. In this case, I would be stabilizing the footage. So footage-wise, I have a shaky camera, so I might want to minimize the shake or get rid of it altogether. And this would be one way of doing it. So when you're holding your phone and you're recording like a family moment or something, like singing happy birthday to Nana, I don't know, and you're holding it, so you're kind of like doing that little bit of human movement that you normally do, right? You can actually stabilize that so it's a still shot and it's not all wobbly and shaky and stuff. Another thing that you could do is you could track things moving in the scene, and you could track them to, well, there's a lot of things that you can do. So you could superimpose something else over it. That's one way of working. So if you had an airplane and you track that airplane and then you superimpose a UFO or something, that could be something, or maybe it's a comet. So you had like this thing that you tracked and then you put a comet in its place, and now you have that movement without having to key animate it.
See, that makes sense. It's just kind of confusing how you, like, I guess it's just the wording, but using tracking for stabilizing, I feel like you would just use a stabilizer for a stabilizer instead of tracking it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, the stabilizer, it essentially does the same thing. This is just in post in this case. And there's other stabilizers, because that's what this one's even called. So stabilizing motion.
Okay, yeah.
But are you talking about in camera?
Yeah, no, I was just talking about like this, the wording for it, how when I think of tracking, I think of like following it, but not
Exactly.
stabilizing something. But I guess if you're constantly like, if you're tracking the motion at the right way, it would stabilize it. So it's kind of the same way.
Yeah. So stabilizing is the end product. Tracking it is you are following the movement. You are following those points. So you are
Okay.
tracking them.
That
In
makes
this
sense.
case, we're tracking them to stabilize.
Okay.
You could also track like track motion there. Track motion is to follow something to move. So my example of if I was wearing those markers and I was, and you were going to superimpose something on that marker, it would follow the movement of that marker, and then that would, in all essence, follow me. So if you put something else on, you put that data on something, like let's say that you were walking or you were tracking a bunch of people and you're putting your logo on their shirts. You could do that. So you'd be tracking the motion of the person, and then you apply that motion track to something like an object. Okay. So your logo, you would apply it to that, and then your logo starts following the movement of what you just tracked.
Hmm.
So in this case, let's see. Well, that thing's tracking. These are some of the things. And let's see, motion, tracking marker, motion tracking. (2017). I don't know if they have that on there. I'm not even seeing any of it. But they had these really cool tracking markers in the suits. Yeah, so you'll see on these suits, like right here and right here. And then they do that kind of glowy effect in there. It almost looks like a universe right here.
Yeah.
There it is. And it's animated inside of there. So it tracked it to superimpose it there. And because they had the different markers across from each other and such, they had more than one marker, which allowed for them to have rotation and scale. So if the rangers are walking towards the camera, it'll scale up, and then the movement of the walk will also track the rotations. So it's getting larger as it comes closer to the camera and all that stuff. And then it's tracked, and they put it on something that is animated. So like this whole like universe looking thing, or whatever they were going for there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yep. Yeah, pretty crazy, but not uncommon. And you're seeing that on the whole Ninja Turtle costumes and stuff right there. So this almost looks like overkill, but I bet you there were so many artists that were so happy to have those. It's trying. I should have thought about this. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
You're good.
Should we be doing this alongside you?
You probably could, as long as this is taken. But this will be an assignment for homework, so you'll see that you'll be able to do each one of these. I'm recording this now too. It's probably taking a little longer on the recording, but I'll be able to post this recording to the class. If the recording comes out good, then I won't have to make another one of these. Just what I miss, I'll make via Camtasia, and you guys will be able to see it. The bad part is I think all your images or your pictures are going to be right here where the tracker is. Because I don't know if there's a way to hide, all of your cameras. I'm trying to look now. I mean, if I click the hide video panel, we'll see if it hides it in the recording. And I could also, hopefully the chat won't show up. I pulled them to my other monitor, but I can't. Are you guys seeing the chat on my end of things?
No.
Oh.
Oh.
No? Were you guys seeing yourselves on my end of things? Now that I hit them, do you see your or everybody else's videos other than yours?
No.
No.
I bet you it's going to put it back on there then. I bet you any money. We're getting close to a finished product, everybody.
So what exactly is the difference between that outside box and the inside box?
So the outside box tracks the pixels coming in and out of frame. So it kind of pre-analyzes them, if you will. Everything that's going to be switching from frame to frame. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It's trying to guess. So if I could put it in other terminology, if we were to track the movement of the pixels, there's almost like between this point and this point, if this is frame 1 and this is the next frame, sometimes you have some of that motion blur. It almost gets kind of like streaky. It would try to analyze that pixel and the changes between them in the motion of it. So when programs analyze motion, they have kind of like vectors, and they'll call them motion vectors and such. And what that means is that they try to analyze which movement this is going, because a pixel could do this. If you look at it really close, just a little bit of movement could be doing this, the one pixel all over the place with some streaking, because if you move the camera too quickly, you have motion blur. It tries to analyze all of that. And then the inner box tries to analyze something more prominent, like a motion tracker. In this case, those 3 dots, because they stand out more than everything else. Does that kind of help?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a little bit confused about just the cross tracker. Would it have that outside bounding box for those extra pixels, or is it a totally different type of tracker?
This outer box?
For the tracker that's across, the other style of tracker?
I'm not sure.
Never mind.
Wait, are you mentioning the image he was talking about previously, or?
Yeah, with the other tracker styles.
Oh, right,
How
yeah.
this one is different with the outside bounding box.
Oh, I see. No. Well, the answer is yes and no. It depends
Okay.
on, yeah. The thing is that you would use this box to track some of those.
Yeah.
Or multiples of these boxes, but there are also other trackers. So there is Mocha, and it's inside of After Effects. I think it is an actual effect as well. And that's going to be for object tracking, but it would look at the entire thing. So it would look at, let me go back to those images. It would look at the shape of the trackers. Like, it would look at the shape. Like this could be a shape right here, and it's going to be a little more of a hard shape. So it could actually analyze the shape itself of this almost Superman looking thing, and then would analyze the things inside of it as well.
Okay, got it. So the shape is the bounding box.
Yeah, so you could do that with point trackers. So what we're doing is point tracking, but
Yeah.
you could do it with an object tracker as well. And the object tracker would pay attention to all of this kind of similar ways, but it would pay attention to it as an object. So the rotations and stuff like that, they're similar enough, but yeah, but the movement and stuff, the way they analyze it is a little bit different. And then the superimposing is going to be a little bit of the same.
Yeah.
So this thing is done. Thank God, right? What do? We save this. Save this as 165, 12. I'll just put it inside of here. Stabilize motion. Yes. All right. So if I crash this now, it's okay. I could reopen it. So in this case, I'd be able to apply this to something. And right now I don't really have anything to apply it to, with the exception of the track type is stabilize. If I was going to do transform, I can have something kind of move with it. You see I have parallel corner pin, perspective corner pin, and raw. So the parallel corner pin would be like 2 points, and the 2 points would follow, something. So you can get a little bit of motion and in rotation and stuff like that. The perspective corner pin, so we have parallel corner pin and perspective corner pin. They're both ways of analyzing corner pins. So it's kind of like if you had a picture frame or something like that. You have corners on a picture frame, and you're like, here is my grandma, and then you're just like exposing that she's an alien or something like that. So it's like a hidden picture. You superimpose on the corners of each corners, the top corners, bottom corners, and you're tracking basically all 4 of them. And as you move it, it will move whatever you're superimposing onto that image, that picture, along with it, along with the frame, the picture frame. In this case, the other case, it was phones. So you'd be able to corner pin track a phone, and you'd be able to change it. Where was that other? Oh, I don't have it up here today. Anyway, the phone one that I was showing a little while ago, and you have footage for that. You could actually do it that way as well. So this one is stabilized. So if I click apply, you have X and Y, X only or Y only. Okay. So X only is going to be like, it's moving too much right and left. So I just want it to stay right here. I don't care if it goes up and down a little bit. It's not moving as much there. So the up and down will keep going, but the X and Y, it will try to keep your picture right here instead of going like this, left and right. Y only would be the opposite. It wouldn't go up and down. It would only go left and right. Okay. X and Y, it's going to do both. So hit OK. And you're going to see this is a pretty awesome. Let me zoom out of here a little bit. There we go. Now check this out. And this is probably going to have to buffer. You see there's no green down here. So it's going to have to buffer it. You'll have to put it into memory, which is way faster than tracking. What do you guys notice?
Black bars around the sides that come in and out. But also it's way like cleaner.
Right? Do you guys remember? Oh, it's tilde. Oh, wrong one. There we go. So it's pretty stationary. It's not super jiggly like it was before.
True.
But you're right. You see all that camera motion where it's introducing black? It's actually moving the video. It's moving the video because it's saying those points need to stay where they were, basically. So you see those points that I tracked? They are not moving. They're staying exactly where they are in my frame. So if I were to put like a little, what do they call those things now? I can't think of the names of them. If I got my guides and rulers and I pulled 2 guides down there where the markers are that I tracked, it would stay right there in my scene. It would be right here, cross. And you would see that none of that moves. When you do something like this, it's fine. This works. It's great. And it's not really moving. The trick to that is that I'll stop this and all I have to do is really scale it up. So I'll scale it up and I'll play it to see if anything is moving to introduce black, because if it introduces any of the black, it's going to show up in my final product. So I'll just select this and I'll hit S for scale it up. I know it's going to go past that. So there we go. I'll try to go to the farthest points. That's pretty far. Scale it up some more. Damn, it's crazy. A lot of movement here, huh? Pretty good.
It makes it look like their bed's rocking, like they're on like the sea or something.
Yeah, right. And I could have done that with translation and rotation, which means I could have tracked those other points along with these points, and it would stop the rotation too. But if you notice, it's not bouncing up and down or left or right. It is rotating though, because I didn't track the rotation and tell it to not rotate. So they're still on a boat. It's just going like this. But that would help with this. And yeah, again, so I could have done the same thing, except I would have had 2 points to track. So if I stop the playback, I hide the original, and I'll bring down, well, I'll bring down the original again. Say it that way. Here's the original. Okay. And then here's the tracked. See how much more steady it is? The bad part is that it was moving kind of a lot. I'm cutting this girl off. Like she has no left hand, left arm. So in this case, that could be semi-problematic when it comes to. And that's why a lot of people will plan for their shots. But for the most part, this is okay. All right. If I put this back to 100. You can see the other one behind it. You can see what it's actually doing, which is pretty awesome.
It's
In
so
case you didn't
interesting
know.
how the canvas size bounces.
Yeah, right? That's the actual movement.
Right.
So everything is staying in frame, like how it's going outside of the After Effects composition. That is the movement. It's just repositioning those 3 points where our marker was in our scene. So 3 points never move. They actually get put back where we tracked them from, frame by frame. Kind of weird, right? It's a different concept, but that's what it's doing. Thoughts?
Do a lot of Adobe applications have a stabilize option?
I'm trying to think if Photoshop has anything like that. I think that Premiere might.
Yeah.
But I always
Premiere's the
remember
only one
After
that
Effects
makes
being a little
sense
bit
to
more.
me.
Premiere?
Yeah, because I don't like, why would Photoshop or Illustrator?
Yeah, right. Well, Photoshop has kind of introduced some video into theirs, so I don't know that they do have that. But I know that After Effects used to be one of the more powerful ones, and that's why you would do After Effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. If you guys don't think so, then I feel sorry for you. I'm just kidding.
Is there any way that you could like decrease the amount it stabilizes, like just out a
Like have
little
a
bit
variation?
of movement. Yeah, kind of.
I think that I don't know that you could do a variation of it. I mean, you do have this. Watch. What happens is that if I hit the U key, it shows all of my keyframes. See all these down here? These are all keyframes. So if I zoom in,
the tracker.
I'll just go like this. So frame by frame, there's a keyframe on every single frame for feature center, confidence. I mean, you could move this confidence. I think that's what that is. You could change the confidence and it will retrack or reanalyze that. And the confidence is 100% of what you want the tracker to be or how you want it to be applied. So I believe that's still correct. So if I change the confidence to like 50%, it's going to halfway follow my track. And that might be reintroducing what you were talking about, Keenan. I don't know if I did it now, if it's going to have to reanalyze. Let me see. Let's do 50%. I don't know if I'm noticing anything really large. Let's see. It didn't retrack anything.
I think you have to select all the keyframes.
Oh yeah, check it out. So the confidence is actually adjusting itself. So in this case, confidence might be like the percentage. Like I shouldn't have keyed over that first one. That was 100% because it was the starting point. So it was pretty confident that the starting point was 100% correct. That's what the confidence is in here. So if I click on here, it was about 87.9% confident that it was tracking exactly what I wanted it to track marker-wise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you'll see that in other programs as well. Even inside of here, when they use like a color coding system with other markers, when you do like the 3D track, green is usually good. Yellow is so-so. Sometimes they'll use kind of like a orange, kind of like a burnt orange or a regular orange. That means that it's a so-so marker. It might be good, it might not be good. And then red is like, I'm pretty sure this is bad. But that's the confidence of it. Yes, I don't really know. I mean, you could probably, I'm sure there's ways to offset them. Or you can go in here and get rid of like every so many frames, and that would probably do it as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's something to look into.
Okay, so this is the first homework assignment to stabilize the girls, this video?
I would find something else to stabilize.
Okay.
Yeah. You could practice on this one, but if you go to, let me show you that website again. I believe it. Do I still have it open? I have the link for you all in there. If not, I'll put it again, but I think it was in one of the previous weeks. I'll put it in this week's as well. But you could look at different video inside of here, and that's where I grabbed these ones. These ones are,
Oh, cool.
like this one would work for the four corner. It also works kind of like a green screen and stuff, but you see that it has markers in there along with the green screen, so you can cut things out and put this onto a phone. So some of your previous animations, like the news one that you had going on in there, if you had it sideways, that would work. This girl's one could actually be in here in the phone, superimposed. And so we're going to do a little bit of green screen and blue screen real quick here in a minute. And then I'll probably do the corner track for you all separate, especially since these things are taking a little longer than I thought. But if you go in here and you type in some footage, like I didn't get one to track an object, so I might have to do an object for you all as well. But if you think of something that's going to, what's going to have like minimal motion that you guys can think of in a room? Somebody help me.
Wait,
Draw
say
a
it. Ask that
blank.
again.
Just what's going to have like some minimal motion of a room or some footage. So right here, just to let you guys know. In
Maybe
pixels, I'm in videos.
video of like someone watching TV or something.
So watching TV, I'll type that in and search. That one's stationary. Let's see. That one's kind of moving. So you could all look up. Like this one looks like it would be pretty good. You could do a 2-point track, and the carpet's pretty good unless he's going to whip his hand over this, you know? That carpet would be super easy to track. And if you were to stabilize it, then you wouldn't have to do any animation to throw a little dog or a cat right here. Yeah, everything stays within frame. You could track any of these things. If you wanted even more of a precise track, you could track like this marker here. And if this one or this one doesn't go out of frame, because they're further apart, they're going to get more minute movements. So very subtle movements in the camera, they'll get better the further the trackers are apart from each other. So like right here to right here, or even this blue one to here. But I think this one would go good. Even one of the ones on the end over here to this blue one over here, or one of these ones over here that would stand out. And the further apart they are, the more accurate the track would be in that case. Now this is probably one, let's take a look at it. We can analyze this one. There's a few things in the background, they're a little fuzzy, but that might work. This dude's eyes aren't even moving much. You could probably track like the corners of his eyes.
This video
His
just looks like
nostrils, the corners of his
quarantine.
mouth. So you could superpose like a mask over his face. Make him Iron Man. Put an Iron Man mask on it. Oh, and then he turns. That would screw everything up there. Unless you're object tracking. But you will have a rotation up to an extent, so maybe it wouldn't totally be bad. And then you can hand key the rest of it as he turns. So if you did put a mask on him, you know, kind of as he turns, it's going to be good to a point, and then you're going to have to hand key the rest, which is okay. You just delete those keyframes and then do it. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a lot of scenarios where you can use that if you want to make it a little more professional looking. Like this one's so subtle that I don't know why you would bother with it unless, you know, it's almost done on
Sometimes when it's-
purpose. This one's almost done on
that
purpose.
Subtle. It's normally like a steady shot that they put a shake on it.
Yeah, right. And then separate the keyframes to get it to go really slow. Yes, that one's probably purposely done. So again, that's like the opposite of it.
Thanks.
You can introduce movement into something that
Thank
doesn't
you.
have it. So you can think of uses for this just to stabilize a shot like this one here. You could really use some stabilization, although everything is blurry, so I don't know. I don't really know what you're going to be able to do. Maybe the corners of that bread right there. Like right here and right here. Or that can as a whole, because the movement's not too much, that it might recognize that blurriness there. So that one there, and then maybe part of the end of this bread or something. I don't know. It's a game. You get to try things out. And some things work, some things don't. It's kind of how you learn. Like this one here, I don't know that motion's even necessary. So you could track any of these tiles here. You could track some of these markers if you wanted and see if they would work. The tiles would for sure. Even if you did one here and then one up here across from each other. This one stays in frame. You could do this one, then this one down here. Or you could do this one and something right here on the fireplace. And that would have good stabilization because it's not necessary for the shot. So that would make sense to get rid of that for sure. Okay? Pretty good?
Yep.
Awesome. Good. So let's see here. What else do we have? Let me go to After Effects. Yeah. File, save. And I'll make a new project. So I'll show you one more for green screening, just basic green screening. We're not going to get too crazy into making it super beautiful. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll do the 4-corner tracker separate. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So we have a few different ones here, and the green screener is, so green screening is basically a, oh, there's a couple of videos we got to watch too before we go. Okay, we'll end on a high note. So the green screener is pretty awesome. I mean, you get to work with it on any color. Okay, so green screening is just a term nowadays. The color of it doesn't matter. You can plan for, so let's say that she was wearing some really bright colors. This girl right here. I'll bring this one in first. And I'll just drag it down here, just like I did before, right? If she was wearing super bright colors and she had face paint on, and everything that she was wearing was a different color other than white, and her face was painting blue or something, I don't know. You can have a white background for her, or you could have a red background if she was wearing everything but red, and so on and so forth, okay? So it would also go on the opposite end of things. If you're going to green screen something, or if you're going to cut out a green screen, or you're going to cut out a blue screen, a green screen, you wouldn't want the actor to be wearing green, okay? A blue screen, you wouldn't want the actor to be wearing blue. And you can see that sometimes on the news when the weatherman walks in front of the camera and he's like, it's going to snow. And part of his body's missing, right? Or part of her body's missing. That is because they're wearing the color that they're keying out. So one of the terminologies is keying. We'd be keying a color. And it works as an effect inside of here. So if I click on effects and presets, we have keying in this case. I think that's where it is under here. If not, I'll have to type it in. So keying, and there is key light 1.2. There is also, there's a key cleaner. There was another one that used to be in here. Let me see. Color difference key. Well, key light 1.2 is one of them. I might have to check out the linear color key and such again. So there are ways of working with this. Color range. Yeah, anyway. There's this layer here. If I take the key light 1.2, I can just double click it, or I can click and drag it onto an object. So remember, you can add effects that way, or I can drag it onto a layer. Okay.
We should do some work on the video with the Queen of England. She wears a completely neon green dress, and you can.
Oh, nice.
It does the same.
Hey, yeah, I've seen that. We could. She could be like a little floating
That's
head,
clever. I love the internet.
little queen head.
Yeah, they just photoshopped a bunch of random stuff on it. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, if you find the footage, send it to me. We could do that. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun thing to animate some stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, start thinking of those type of things, everybody. So the green screen, or sorry, the color right now, it's set to black. If I click this little icon here to sample, I would look for a mid-tone. So something that's not too bright, but something that's not too dark. So if I come over here, these are getting a little bit darker. This is pretty light because the light that is in the scene. So I can go in between the light and dark, and I'll look probably for a gray area somewhere like in here. So if I click it, you're seeing that I do have some noise inside of here. So if that's the problem here, it is cutting this away. You can't really see it. Watch, let me drag this way. And there's my project panel, there's my effects. So if I go to the project panel and I double click this thing, I'm gonna bring something else in here. Like, well, I don't really have much to choose from, do I? She's gonna join these hot air balloon people. It's gonna look really weird and really funny at the same time in theory. So I'll drag that down. It's super tiny. All right.
Oh, yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, right. That's how chicks look at the hot air balloon things I go to. I don't know about you guys. But you can see some of the graininess that's on there. It's kind of clipping into the van and stuff there. And we're going to have settings for that. So the video 2 is the green screen footage. I'm just going to hit enter and just call it what it is. Green screen. Okay. The other one's just a background. So I can hit enter. I could put even BG background, and it is a video. So I could type that it's a video in there. That way, while I'm working, if I put 50 other things in here, I know what I'm working with. So I could always hide that. And I could see if I were to go back to my effects, I'll select the green screen layer. It'll show all the effects that are on there. And I can say, okay, well, there's a few things I could do. I could try another sample. Maybe I try to sample the lighter green. And what happened there? Anybody know? I mentioned this before and on another project, but let's see if
It
you guys
turned
can
into a cursed image.
Yeah, right. We're done. You run away. Run away. No, what happened is that I sampled the visual on my computer. Okay. So it sampled it, and that just happened to be a color that inversed her, but also selected a lot of colors of what I sampled or a variation of them to basically knock her out. Check this out. So you can get a really cool effect that way, though.
Jeez.
See that? So what I could do is I could just come up here and I could say, okay, I'll just reset this green screen footage. I'll come down here to my sample, and this is a little brighter. So let's see what I do when I sample the brightness. I don't know if that's any cleaner. Any more clean. Maybe, maybe not. So you could sample a few different areas. I'll hit reset. Come over here, sample maybe the darker section. That one's really noisy. So it looks like garbage. So I'd probably do what I was talking about before and sample somewhere in between a range here, somewhere, you know, between the two light and darks. And then I'm going to have to change some of my settings here. So I have like screen gain. I can bring that up and it's going to amplify the screen, or I could take it away. So when I take away some of the gain, it's changing what I had sampled and reintroducing some of the color, okay? If I take the screen gain up, I can go beyond it, and I could only go so far because you're going to see that I'm going to start cutting into her hair, and her hair is going to start disappearing. So if I put that back image there, or even another color, like I'll go up to layer, new, solid, okay? I'll double click this, and let's do something that's not inside of here. So we could do like a blue. Somewhere maybe like right there. I'll hit OK. And I'll put it below her. I'm going to hide that other video. So I'm looking at her hair. This isn't bad. I mean, I'm losing a little bit of her hair, but that would allow me to see that the screen gain, see if I go up further, I'm just getting rid of hair. And it might start cutting into her arms at some point. See that?
Oh, right there. Leave it there. That's perfect.
That's awesome, right? It's like she's alien or something, or superpower. She's morphing, right? But like 104 was a lot, even for her hair. But it did take out some of that dirty noise that I had going on there. So this could work. And the hair still looks like it's partially intact there for the most part. So that's screen gain. I could take it down back to 100. Its default setting. And you can see the noise reintroduced here. So I could also zoom in there around this area so you can see the noise a little bit better. And I could also mess with like the screen balance. If you drop this down, you just get a slider, okay? If I bring the screen balance up, more noise is getting introduced, and you're seeing that the green is getting back into the darks of her hair. I go to the left, it's cutting into her skin. That's awesome too, right?
Super great.
Nice. So I'll undo that. But I could have like a dispill bias right here, like how much it's spilling outside of the image. And I would be able to click on those, and you're able to sample these, right? And I don't have a good definition for dispill bias, so we have to, or alpha bias, let's see here. That's going to really help me right now. So I'll just undo those. Oops, 100. I'll just put 104 on here. That was close enough. But we do have other settings. So there's kind of a lot going on here, and you can key some of these. So as she's moving, you might see, especially if she's closer to the screen or the lighting changes a little bit, her green screen effect might wear off, or it might reintroduce green screen into her hair and such. So you might end up having to key some of these settings in order to get the green out in later sections, okay? We have different things like screen matte, and the screen matte is, I mean, it has a lot of settings. I'll try to look for some of the images that I have, like from some of the books that explain what each one does. But some of them are a little straightforward. Some of them are kind of tricky. So like clipping black and clipping white, I think those were some of the ones that are tricky. Okay. If I come over here, let me put this screen gain down to 100 again. You're going to be able to play with some of these to say, okay, well, some of the white areas, the brighter areas are where I'm having some of the most issues with this. So I can actually say, well, if I start clipping white and bring it down a little bit, it's kind of bringing back her hair, but at a certain point, it starts reintroducing the screen almost in a gray value. See that? So you might, dial that down a little bit and see if that helps at all. And really, a tiny bit goes a long way. If you go beyond that, you're just going to have to be doing more work later on. So there's really no like straight answer to green screening and stuff. It's just kind of looking at it and working with it. And each shot's going to be different, and each camera that's shot with is going to be different. Each scene is lit differently. All that stuff is going to be a factor with this. Okay, clipping black. If I up this, looks like the clipping black really gets that going. I'll bring the light values back up. And I'm looking at the edges of her arm right there. So I'll take the clipping black back down a little bit. I can go between black and white. So black goes really high. So maybe something like 3 might be good. Even 2 or 1. To try to get rid of some of that noise. And white is not really doing too much for me, to be honest. Clip roll back. Yeah, it's not gonna. So I'll try to look for some of the definitions for some of these that we could work with. But the shrink and grow is gonna cut into her or out away from her. See that? So if I do it really large, I'm actually growing the screen outward this way, as to where I can go inward. If I hold shift, I can go faster in increments of 10, and it'll start cutting away her. Oof. So if she needs to lose weight real quick, that's there. Oh my God, look at her eyes just beat up too. That's what happens when you lose weight too quickly. Just kidding. But yeah. And then there's softness. So screen softness could actually help that dithering inside there. Let's see if I do something like 1 pixel. Just a few pixels. Yeah, not getting super awesome results here. The spot white, spot black. It's kind of mixing it in there.
It's a video of her, right?
Yeah.
Will you play it?
No. That's actually looking pretty all right until you put something behind her. Actually,
is it
it's
like
not bad.
slowed down, or is she just moving really slow?
It could be that it's buffering. This is going to put it in memory and play it back a little faster. She could be moving slow though. So that's how they move in the wild. I'm just kidding. It probably slowed down then. Oh, this footage is a lot longer. Oh no, I zoomed in. Look. Silly Jared. All right, so it's too high. It's actually eating up the 32 gigs of RAM pretty quick. So if I play this back, yeah. Oh no, it's working. Yeah, so you can see some of the noise behind it.
She's just super excited to see hot air balloons.
Yeah, that's been my experience every time I go to those things. I almost grew my hair out too, so I could do that too.
That's why I'm growing mine out, man.
I knew it. That might be one festival they still have. We just can't stand by each other.
6 feet of separation.
Yeah, right. So it's pretty cool, right? And inside of here, you're really going to mess with a lot of what you can do to get rid of that noise inside of there. Because right now, and just to let you know, I'm viewing the final result. You can view a bunch of different things like masks and such, which will have colors to show you how clear you're getting. So you can go through these. I'm not going to go through them right now because that would take forever, but there is that. And then you're dealing with an inside mask. See that? And an outside mask. So you can get kind of artsy with those ones. Kind of like a double negative type of thing going on there. foreground color, edge color correction, and source crops. So there's a lot that goes into this in general. And key light, I believe they got key light from the creators of Nuke. So it's pretty phenomenal. As for key cleaner and stuff, I would have to play with that again. It's been a while since I played with some of this stuff. But some of these things can amplify other things. You could also put effects on here with which to help you key it out. So if I were to put an effect on here that's going to amplify the green inside of there and maybe clean up the green, like a despeckle or denoise, and then also select the green and amplify it a little bit so that it becomes more of a flush color, I can then put the key light on there based off of those results and then get a different result. Or I could do the first thing that I was talking about with, amplifying the green and all that good stuff, exporting the video and then bringing that video in here and then using the green screener. So there's two ways I can try to go across to get a better green screen inside of this. And there's some other footage that I can show you guys for green screening. I may have to find it, but there's this really cool one on YouTube. If I can find it, I will send it to you all across my channel. Let's just go to YouTube. I was making tutorials earlier. This is my page dropping it. Dropping it like it's hot. Tutorials. So let's see here. What was I thinking? Dang, I can't think of that. There's one particular video that I like to show that's phenomenal. I'll look for it and this dude. So it's about 23 minutes. So I'll copy that for you all and I'll put it into the folder. But he just does a good job with it. And he shows this app called Green Screener. And I used it before. So when I saw him using it, I got super psyched. But it's called Green Screener. So if all of you are going to do video footage, you can use the Green Screener app and he talks about it in there, to find the spots that are giving us trouble right now. So to our naked eye, it's kind of risky in here. It's after dark, right? To our naked eye, we have visuals that we just simply will not see between the smallest increments of light. So some spots or a green screen could look like perfectly lit up. And this app will allow the camera to pick up more of what we cannot see. So what looks like a perfect lit or perfectly lit scene, green screen, is going to end up having banding like this. So see this part right here? That's perfectly lit. The light, it could look perfect to our eyes, but the light veers off enough to where this is a different green, and this is different, and this is different, and that part right there is different, to where we would be able to adjust our lights using the Green Screener app and try to get rid of as much of that as possible. You might not get a perfect one, but if you can see with which the area of movement is going to be in and light that as perfect as you can get it, then you're going to have an easier time and a better time green screening it. Okay. So this is what we don't see, but this is what's introducing that noise that we don't see there, because look at this. If I go back to After Effects and I turn off the effect, so I can go to effect and click the effects, it turns it off. Look how nice that looks. It looks pretty decent, right? She's lit really well. She's really in focus. Everything is in focus for the most part. So it should be an easy thing. And she might even be kind of close to the screen. If it's spilling onto her hair, that means some green is getting on her hair, and that's what can cut it out as well. But what we're not seeing in here is that banding or that puddling, if you will, of light that is dying off in different sections. It looks nicely lit and evenly lit to us, but it's obviously not when I do a basic sample and it's giving me or introducing noise still. Okay. So I can mess with some of the stuff to, kind of get a really good green screen. But this app will help you light it so that when you shoot it, it's a little bit better. Okay. And they'll do it in all cases. So some of these screens, like the one that the girl is in, is very tight. And some scenarios like this, you're going to see the waves. See how it can be kind of wavy? You can pull it as tight as you can. But those waves are going to introduce some noise that you're going to have to key out. But you're also probably going to have to do some masking on those. And because it moves, you're going to do some rotoscoping of those masks. So what I'm saying is it's fun. Pretty cool, right? So this app makes light work of that in a sense. So I'll copy that and I'll paste it for you guys. Let me just copy this now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me paste it now too, because I tend to forget.
I have a weird question. Why was that neon green chosen for green screen if you said the color doesn't matter? Did the color not matter till later, or was that obnoxious green just the first thing chosen in the 80s or something? Like when did
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so the obnoxious green has light waves that bounce off of it.
Okay.
That give it a spectrum of color that is a little bit more honed into things that we might not wear, or that the camera and everything could pick up a little bit more easily for us to be able to key it out.
Okay.
That's kind of like layman's terms.
So it wasn't until the technology developed further that they were able to use colors like blue or pink for that backdrop to green screen out?
From what I understand and have learned and have read on, it's because, again, of like the light waves that particular green emits, or that green emits in general. Yeah, like the spectrum is the most friendly, I guess, when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's less likely of a color, I guess, for people to wear. I don't know.
Sure.
In that
Unless
case.
you're the Queen of England.
Yeah, right. Yeah. She could wear anything to pull it off. Wait, did I copy that? Let's see here. Yeah, copy link address. It's a really cool video. I just like that guy too. He's actually pretty funny. Did I do that correct? Let me just repaste this again. Repaste it. Yep, that S was there. I didn't have a finger slippage. There we go. Basics of green screen. So it's only like 23, 24 minutes. It's good though. It's a good watch. That's one of the better videos that I found. And he's kind of humorous, so that works. I like it. Yeah, so we can mess around with that all day. Everything's going to be scene specific though, okay? So you'd be able to do this. And then the next steps are being able to do this with masks and stuff as well. So if you had some of the green screens that were darker on the outer sides of it, outer edges, you would mask those out yourself before or after you do the green screening inside of here, okay? But again, that's what you would get with this. If I were to bring something else in here, let me just bring something else in here, like this chick. And I'll hide the other two. That should take them out of processing. So she has motion blur. Motion blur can be a little bit difficult to work with in green screening. We're not going to worry about the motion blur right now. But here, if I did the same thing, I have to add the effect to her. So key light 1.2. I'll drop that on there. There we go. And with that, I can do a sample. Click here, and then I'm assuming this is the best, lightest color, so I can go in between them and click there. And that's actually looking pretty decent. Yeah, it's looking pretty decent just from the get-go. So check this out. Not bad. So if I come in here, I honestly thought we were gonna have more trouble with this footage than the last footage. So maybe the lightness of the screen and the distance of the screen is making a difference. There also could be, you can light the screen from front and behind. So you can actually introduce light from behind, and some people actually have like almost like big LEDs or projections that are projecting light behind them or projecting light from emitting from behind them, and that is something that you can cut out as well. For instance, if you put a green screen on a computer screen, like just fill the color with green, then you can cut that out a little more easily. Although if we're going to superimpose something on there, you could just put tracking markers or track the corners of it, and then you're going to have it over that screen anyway. It's just the light emitting from it that you might need to change. So if I was bringing something else in here, maybe a little bit more clear. Let's see here. Do I have pictures? Oh, I do. The last class, right? So 101, 12 images. And this stuff's awesome. It truly is. But if I put something, let's give her a colorful background like this thing, just because this thing looks awesome. Rough, rough indeed. Rough, rough indeed. Let's see here. Nice. Look, she's going to party. R for rotation, 90 degrees. Okay. And now you can see what our green screen is doing for this person. I feel like I could kind of see through her shirt to the background. I don't know if you all can see it on your end.
What do you mean?
I think I'd have to adjust this because watch as I play it. Can you see right through here, just her entire shirt? I feel like I can see the colors.
Oh, see the red, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit.
Yeah, so that's one of the problems that we would have in here. So there's a couple of ways I could work with this. I could put a mask on her or on the background, and that would be cutting away the background right here. And I would have to rotoscope it. So I'd have to move the mask around and have keyframes on all the parts of the mask to cut that out so that it's not coming through. Or I would have to adjust my green screen for her.
Rotoscoping was just the most scary word you just said.
Yeah, right? Because it's usually more time consuming. You can get pretty smart about it. Some of the cool things about rotoscoping, though, are that you can just like put a movie on or music or both. You know what I mean? And just work. So like the screen balance and such, I may need to have selected a lighter portion of that green screen. So if I reset it, let's see here. Let me see if I select one closer to her. Nope,
Oh, you
it's
see
still
it
coming
more,
through.
actually.
What's that?
I think you see it more.
I know, right? What's going on here? Yeah, it's about the same. It's actually coming through a little darker. Yeah, weird. Might have to end up doing that in this case. But you could play with these and see. Like if I do the screen gain up a little bit. Let's see. Click and drag it. Put a drastic amount. Nope. See if I bring it down a little bit. Actually 99. 95. Not really. And it's reintroducing it to the background. So screen gain isn't doing much there. Screen balance. See if I go on the high end of things. Okay, so if I go higher with the screen balance, it seems to be working for her shirt. Obviously, I can't go 100% because that is just crazy. So 60 looks okay. I'm trying to see how much green is getting reintroduced right here, though. That could be a problem. So the balance you can only take so far. They let you take it farther than you probably ever should. Because see the green I'm starting to get right back into her hair there. But that's where I could mess with like the screen mat and different things like that. Yeah, it's not going to matter too much. Yeah. there's only so much you can go. The screen balance is, I can tell you right now, it's too high. You shouldn't be doing increments too high like that. There's probably very little scenarios where you would actually be able to go with super high values. But I could bring it up a little bit and it would take some of that away. And I was just getting too much in the hair. So some of this other stuff you would really have to just mess around with. Replace method, soft color, replace color. Yeah, and then mess with the inside mask and the outside mask and such. This one is interesting though, because the edge color correction, that could be really what saves us here. It's weird because 75 works. Takes a lot of it away. I mean, it's still kind of there, which is really weird because I don't know if it's just the lighter values of what that's happening with her shirt, but it's really strange. Because everything else looks good, but that's really weird that it's introducing that into her shirt. The easiest thing would probably be to mask it, but you could do a mixture of some of these things to try to get it going, like the screen softness. Could soften it and see if that would give us anything. So a little bit of softness with a little bit of balance. That would probably help it out a little bit. Nope. I'm almost reintroducing it with the softness. Let's see here. Not really. Yeah, so you'd have to play with some of the stuff. Black to spotting, white spotting. Still can't really get rid of it without changing some things here. But let's see here. And edge control is not really what I'm worried about. It's inside of her. I mean, if I bump this up, screen balance, to a higher value before changing her skin color, yeah, it's really not going to help me too much. So you can only go so much with this. Anyhow, it's all a game of playing with some of this stuff. Contrast. Brightness. So the brightness and contrast looks like it works a little bit, but not on her blouse. That's the problem area. So again, without making this a 3-hour tutorial on the one thing, that's part of the way we're, whoa, when did I move her down there? You can see the noise on the ends of this. You see that noise over there on the end that I introduced right there? Let's see. You can't see it too much unless I move her watch. See it right there?
Yeah, I see that.
Nice.
And
You can actually mask her
barely
out.
noticeable. That's crazy.
Yeah, right? So how that is kind of, you would notice it on a different background. But let's say you didn't want that. You could take her layer and you could just get the pen tool. And let's see how far she goes. She kind of stays within this little box here. So that's probably some of the furthest she moves, like that. But I could say, okay, I could probably feel confident in just creating a mask. Like this. Damn you. Kind of like that. If I have to move it, I have to move it. But if I scrub through this, she stays pretty much within the boundaries of that mask right there. And what the mask allows for, except for cutting her finger off over here, what that mask allows for is for us to have everything else or outside of the mask cut off. So now if I were to move her, see that? No lines there because I've just cut them out. So I could put her here, and maybe she's talking about something, right? And then you could put the animations of what she's talking about up here.
So you just drew the pen tool around her and closed it, and you didn't have to make any keyframes?
Not in this case, no.
Okay.
Because all of her actions are in one spot, and the lighting and nothing is changing for the most part. That the outer areas are just cut out. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And that is not too bad, especially from like a distance or something. So if she's talking about something, then you can put the graphics in here and animate them in as she's talking. And now you're doing some infographics stuff, and it's pretty awesome. It's really good stuff. How you guys feeling about this?
Feeling good.
Pretty good, right?
Cool.
I could drop this recording on there too. I think it's going to come out pretty decent. I don't know if that you're going to see everything over here, but there's not a whole lot on this side that is necessarily needed since I kind of talk over it. So the key light dropping that on there, that's the only one we've used so far. There are some other things for green crystals. Let's see. Yeah, it's just, I guess it is just really key light for that part. Let's see here. Yeah, something like that. Blue blur, green blur, the spill, that could help. Otherwise, king. Yeah, so just dropping the key light on there. So what I could do is I could make a tutorial for you guys to try something else on for the screen replacement and such. I'll do like a corner pin for you all, and that will work on that phone, and it'll also work on a computer monitor. So what I would like you all to do is to do a green screen. You could either use some of these or find your own and do a track to stabilize. So you could even make your own if you want with your phone at home, put it onto your computer and then track it. You can find some stuff on the Pixels, or there's other sites that you can go to get free video as well. So you can either shoot your own or do this. And then for that tracking, it's not really, I mean, there's not much that you need to do with it, except for, you know, kind of stabilize it. This one could be a little bit more fun. So try to kind of play with it, maybe animate some stuff in, see what you can do in order to make it something, okay? So again, like I was saying, I can put her the way that she is now and then move her to the side. And then I can introduce some infographics to kind of play and get an idea of what I'd be able to do if I was controlling a little bit more in a controlled environment, I guess, to create something that you see daily, especially on YouTube. You see a lot of this stuff on YouTube daily, especially those guys that tell you how much money they make. You know what I mean? You see her outer edge here. It's a bit of a glow there, and it's with some of the settings I was changing inside of here. You do have a mask, so watch this. If I drop this down, I just want to see the alpha source. Oh yeah, I put the mask on there, so I'm screwing that up. All right. So that's going to mess that part up. But if I do source, and I'm sorry, final, because I don't think I'll be able to see the combined. Yeah, so combined matte. This is what we're seeing. See how we could see through her? That's where some of this other stuff might dispel bias, alpha bias. Yeah, so we might have to make some changes in here. Let's see here, replace color, contrast. Yeah, so these are some of the things, how it's partially gray. That's why we're seeing through it, because black conceals and white reveals inside of here. So her arms are semi-transparent too. We're just not noticing it as much. See that?
So if we changed it to white, we wouldn't see it. We wouldn't see through.
Right. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you can't just change it to white. You have to adjust these. But this is just one way to do it. You can go to your view and go down to combined and see what's going on here. And then you could change it a bit. So, I mean, part of it is the clipping white and black. See, because I could bring clipping white into it, but I can only go to an extent. Because that looks good, but screen-wise, it's introducing all this down here. Which could lead me to believe that if I were to select down there, that could be my problem area when I'm first doing this. I think if I select this and I hold down Alt or something like that, I could click here. Select this. Maybe it's control. I might be thinking of another program, but you used to be able to do that with a modifier key. It would select your original image. So if I did reset, for instance, it would act it as though I reset it. I'll click this little sample tool, and I'll click down here in my troubled area and see if that works for me. Then I'll drop this down, and I'll go down to combined matte. And I can see I'm still having that trouble with her. So, I mean, really, clipping white is one way. Clipping black didn't do anything for me. It just reintroduces it. And I can't change it. But if I do clipping white, I could tap the down arrow. That's actually working pretty good from that new sample spot. Hey, check it out. We got a good key going on here. I'm so happy. Check that out. Pretty good. So watch, I'll do final results. Nice. Check that out. That line is still a little bit crazy right there. But that's just the matte. So where's the outside mask right here? If I drop it down, I don't want to soften it. I want to clip it. So maybe inside mask. Source alpha. So you'd have to look for it. I'm not sure.
Wouldn't softening it though, like kind of blur it together?
It could, but it could also add a little bit more noise to it.
Mm.
Source crop. Yeah, it's not it at all. But I think it's going to be your inside mask and your outside mask. Let's see, screen, shrink and grow. Could be this. Yeah, that's it right there. So if I do like a negative small number, I can cut it away to an extent. And you want to be careful because you want to cut away from her face and stuff, because that's going to cut some of her hair away as well. If it looks okay, that's fine. But you always want to test, okay? It's getting better. And I can't see through her blouse to the tinfoil thing on the back, which is good. And the way that I did that was viewing the alpha that's going to be on this video. So that's pretty good that I didn't cut it before this, because I was gonna. Are you guys still there?
Oh yeah.
I just got all kinds of weird sounds.
Right.
Did you hear all that?
Yeah.
Not happy about something.
Definitely not.
I think you guys are all still here. Very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, physically or mentally, that's two different things.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about mental anymore. We're all gone. So. Okay, so that looks good. And then you would just, be able to test things here and stop it, Adobe. Adobe, stop. Okay, good. So there we go. Yeah, so I'll let you do that. So plan a green screen, try to go find some footage, and then plan what you can do with it animation-wise. You can add music or whatever you want to it, but I just want it to be like one of those pieces that you would use kind of in the real world. They do this for infographics pretty often, and I've done this for a few clients, and it's pretty good. It's something you can get working for sure, and green screening and stuff can get you into different sectors of things. So film-wise, I can stop the recording, and what I'll do is we're just going to watch a couple of those videos together, okay?
Cool.
And then I'll let you guys go. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll make the other footage for you all. Did I stop sharing?
You did.
I did the wrong thing. The brain's getting tired too. So let's see here. Screen share. And
I think you're still recording.
Yeah, I was going to try to stop recording. That's what I wanted. There we go.